Yonta Pravishya Mamamasha Imam Prasuttam Sanjeevayati Akhila Shakti Dharasvadamna Anyam Sahascha Charana Shravanatogadi Prana Namo Bhagavate Purushaya Tubhyam Tasmadakam Mikitaviklava Ishwarasya Sarvatmanam Girinami Yatamanisham Nicho Jaya Gunavisarganu Pravishaka Uyeti Yena Puman Anuvarnitena Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Shrimadi Maam Shri Goswami Namane Shrimadi Bhaktivedanta Swami Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pachani Visheshu Jai Shri Krishna Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Krishna. We are reading from Shrimad Bhagwatam by Krishna's mercy, because of the mercy of Gurudev, because of the mercy of the Vaishnavas, and the mercy of Lord Krishna and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda. We are able to assemble here and speak about the Bhagavatam. Otherwise, without the mercy, we cannot assemble here. It's very difficult. Without the mercy of Krishna, we cannot assemble here to discuss Krishna Katha. So we are always grateful to them. 110.5, Prabhu, I think.
Yes, Prabhuji. Yes.
110. नदीया समुद्रा गिरयः सवनस्पति विरूढः फलन्ति ओषधयः सर्वा अस्य वै नद्या समुद्र गिरयः सवनस्पति विरूढः फलन्ति ओषधयः सर्वा कामम् अन्मृतु तस्य वै हरे कृष्ण नद्यः rivers samudraha the oceans Hirayaha, hills and mountains. Savanaspati, vegetables. Virudaha, creepers. Valanti, active. Vaushadayaha, drugs. Sarva, all. Necessities. Anvrutu, seasonal. Tasya, for the king. Why? Certainly. Translation purport by Divine Grace Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Translation. Please hear. The rivers, oceans, hills, mountains. Okay. Mountains, forests, creepers, and active drugs in every season paid their tax quota. Since Maharaj Yudhishthira was under the protection of Ajita, infallible Lord, as above mentioned, the properties of the Lord, namely the rivers, ocean, hills, forests, were all pleased, and they used to supply the respective quota of taxes to the king. The secret to success is to take refuge under the protection of the Supreme Lord. The secret to success is to take refuge under the protection of the Supreme Lord. Without his sanction, nothing can be possible. Make economic development by our own endeavors on the strength of tools and machinery is not all. The sanction of the Supreme Lord must be there. Otherwise, despite all instrumental arrangements, everything will be unsuccessful. Ultimate cause of success is the Deva, the Supreme. Kings like Maharaj Yudhishthira knew perfectly well that the king is the agent of the Supreme Lord, look after the welfare of the mass of the people. Actually, the state being belongs to the Lord, Supreme Lord. The rivers, oceans, forests, hills, drugs are not creation of the man. They are all creation of the Supreme Lord. And the living beings allowed to make use of the property of the Lord for the service of the Lord. Today's slogan is that everything is for the people, and therefore the government is for the people and by the people, but produce a few species of humanity at the present moment on the basis of God consciousness and perfection of human life, ideologically of God communism. The world has to again follow in the footsteps of Maharaj, of kings like Maharaj Yudhishthira or Parshit. There is enough for everything by the will of the Lord. And we can make a proper use of the things, live comfortably without enmity between man and animal, or man and nature. The control of the Lord is everywhere. When the Lord is pleased, every part of nature will be pleased. The rivers will flow profusely to fertilize the land. The oceans will supply sufficient quantity of minerals, pearls, and jewels. The forests will supply sufficient wood, drugs, and vegetables. And the season changes will effectively help produce the fruits, flowers in profuse quantity. The artificial way of living, depending on factories and tools, can render so-called happiness only to a limited number of that cost at the cost of millions. Since the energy of the mass of the people is engaged in factory production, natural products are being impacted. For this, the mass is unhappy. Without being educated properly, the mass of people are following the footsteps of vested interests by exploiting natural reserves, and therefore there is acute competition between individual, nation and nation. There is no control by the trained agent of the law. We must look into the defects of the modern civilization by comparison here and should follow in the footsteps of Maharaj Yudhishthira to cleanse man and wipe out anachronism. Wonderful purpose. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So now this verse, so we have to see the background of the verse to understand it better. So here we saw that in the 1946 and 47, that Bhishma Dev gave instructions to Yudhishthira Maharaj, and Yudhishthira Maharaj listened to all the Sri Dharmas, Yuga Dharma, and Shastra Dharma, all the Dharmas, including Bhagavad Dharma. All the Dharmas he listened to them, and then he was Kshatriya Dharma, and then all the dharmas, Brahmana dharma, all the dharmas he listened, and it is very detailed description is in the Mahabharata. I think there are two chapters, I think, exclusive, two parvas, exclusively allocated for Bhishma's instruction to Yudhishthira Maharaj. So, such a long discussion and almost so many days they were discussing every day, and Yudhishthira Maharaj was listening very attentively and patiently. So, after the departure of Yudhishthira Maharaj, Bhishma Dev, Yudhishthira Maharaj was very despondent because naturally, see, we should always cry when a great devotee has left the planet. Now, Pankarangri Prabhu is suffering in the hospital. So we should feel so much for him, and we should pray and chant extra rounds. Narsimha Kavacha, Narayana Kavacha for him. This is how we should pray for the pure devotee's protection. There is no problem at all. And Prabhupada said, you can pray. And Krishna may sanction or may not sanction. It is up to Krishna. And Prabhupada said in 1965, please pray to Krishna that I have not finished the mission and therefore I should be there. And he had, even though he had a major problem of a stroke in 1966, they prayed and Prabhupada came for 11 years. But he said, and in 1977, he said, if you want, Krishna wants, he may keep you alive. But he left the body in 1977. So you have to understand, for the pure devotees, we can definitely feel and we have to cry. And in fact, especially if spiritual master goes away, we have to weep. And in fact, our tears should not dry up till the last minute of our life. But it is very difficult. For me, I don't have the tears for my spiritual master. My spiritual master left the planet in 2010, 25th January 2010. Now I don't have the feeling 11 years. Because as days goes by, we may forget the people who have left this world. Suppose I don't have feeling for my grandmother, 2002 she passed away. Grandfather passed in 1981, so no relations. I don't feel. Even his Tithi comes, we don't. But however, for Acharyas, we are able to remember their Avirbhav or Tirobhav. So we are in their appearance day and their disappearance day we remember. So here, Yudhishthira Maharaj was remembering Bhishma Dev and he did the final rites very nicely. And then he didn't keep quiet, you know, he was not keeping quiet. And if you see, and after that, he heard everything. And then Bhagavatam tells in, I think, in 110, I think 110, I think in 1949, he says, Pitra Chanumuto Raja Vasudeva Anumoditaha Chakara Rajyam Dharmena Pitru Paita Maham Vipu. What is he doing? Yudhishthira Maharaj executed the royal power in the kingly strictly according to the codes of the royal principles that were approved by his uncle. That is, even Dhritarashtra was creating problems, but he was accepting and confirmed by Lord Krishna. Krishna was Deva Anumodita. This is a very important point, confirmed. And this is the point, very important point for us to remember. Now he was so, see, he was, this is actually what was the mood of Yudhishthira Maharaj is, he was always thinking that he is a devotee of the Lord and he is always sheltered under the shelter of the Lord, Achyuta, and therefore he has to execute it as a trustee. Just like, Ambarish Maharaj, he was never attracted to anything. That's what we are going to see about his characteristics. How he satisfied Krishna. In fact, It is mentioned in the Mahabharata the first time Kṛṣṇa is meeting the Pandavas. It is in the ceremony, marriage ceremony of Draupadi with Arjuna. At the time, and Arjuna and the Pandavas saw Kṛṣṇa, and Kṛṣṇa also saw. In the whole assembly of that marriage assembly, marriage in the Drupada kingdom, all the kings were eyeing on Draupadi. Nobody was looking at Arjuna or Pandavas. But only one person was looking at the Pandavas, that is Kṛṣṇa, with great awe and reverence and love for his people. Because it is mentioned, Mama Pranaha Pandavaha. My life and soul is Pandavas. So he was looking at Yudhishthira, he was looking at Arjuna. And then when Arjuna saw Kṛṣṇa, he was so much engulfed with the love of affection towards Kṛṣṇa. And he felt so much love and affection because there is a transcendental connection between them. And then what has happened? When he was about to shoot the arrow to the fish, which was hanging up, at the time he was remembering Kṛṣṇa, he was remembering his spiritual master Drona, and also Kunti Maharaj. First he was remembering Kṛṣṇa. See the beauty? So because the devotees always think of the Lord. They are always Satatam Kirtayanto. They always remember Kṛṣṇa. Therefore, the Pandavas were duly attracted. In fact, actually, Kṛṣṇa was in the Vrindavan before he came to the Draupadi's marriage. At the time, Narada Muni comes and meets him after the killing of Kesi Daman, I think. Kesi Daman was killed. At the time, Narada Muni comes and then tells them that Kṛṣṇa, are you ready to meet the Pandavas? And Kṛṣṇa said, yes, I have to meet them. This is the main goal of existence. Because Yedagi Dharmasya Glanit Bhavati Bharata. Abhyaktanam Adharmasya Tadatmanam Stamil. I have to re-establish the principle of religion. And the only person who can do is Yudhishthira Maharaj. He was telling Narada Muni, I have dedicated. This life should be this whole kingdom, this Kamsa's kingdom and the Hastinapura should all belong to Yudhishthira Maharaj. And I want to re-establish. My own objective is to do that. Because they are my prana, they are my life and soul. And because they are the followers of Dharma. And they are followers of Krishna consciousness, Bhagavad Dharma. And they implicitly follow the Bhagavad Dharma. And they exemplified their qualities. And therefore, I cannot avoid them. I cannot see anybody else other than Yudhishthira Maharaj to be the king of Hastinapura. And that is why in the purport Prabhupada writes, because Yudhishthira Maharaj was there, all the rivers, all the lakes, all the mountains, all the vegetables, all the medicines, herbs, everything became profuse. So there was no question. And they were paying taxes to Yudhishthira Maharaj. Yudhishthira Maharaj was not pleasing taxes. He was not putting a gun. Now we have got GST 19%, 20%, 25% they charge. If you buy some little Horlicks, they charge you big money. 20%, 19% GST. They fleece you and then they charge you with income tax also. So much of taxes. You go to dividend, bonus tax. Bonus, you get dividend from mutual funds, you have to pay tax. Previously, it was taxed by the corporate. Corporate level are enjoying. They are making millions and they are giving peanuts to us. And then they are charging tax. So much problems for us. Interest is lower, 5%, 4%. They are reducing the interest. So much calamity they are happening here. Complete calamity. All atrocious things. Whether it is Modi or anybody, everybody is swindling money. Nobody is interested in real interest. In fact, I heard that the vaccines they sold to US, they sent to Brazil and for the export. They made big money and some cash dealings were there. So much atrocities are going. So we have got regard for Modi, but still the people around him are corrupt. He may not be corrupt. What is the use? Yudhishthira Maharaj never allowed anyone to be corrupt under him. Not only he is not corrupt, he did not allow anyone to be under him to corrupt. None of the ministers. Everybody was following Bhagavad Dharma. So this is how the deterioration of Kali has come. And that's why our survival itself is dependent. If you go to a market, big money we have to pay. For buying a banana, for a bendi, we have to pay big money. We have to buy tomato, we have to pay big money. So much payment we are making for buying all these things. So much because the taxes are too much and people are fleeced. And that's why people are becoming plunderers. And so many in South India, in this fellow DMK, Dravida Munnetra Kazhagam, the total assets is more than 800,000 crores. And they have in Swiss banks and also in American banks. Can you imagine the whole family, Dravidian family? And now they want to come to the power. May 6th, the election is over. May 6th, they want to take the election result is going to come. They are going to plunder more. They have occupied so many places, houses, lands they have occupied. They just came and occupied, and they said, if you ask anything, they will kill that person. They will threaten that person. The land will be worth 20 lakhs. They will give 5 lakhs, and you see, this is the money I will give you. The land is worth, the current market rate is 20 lakhs, they will give 5 lakhs, and they will take the property. And they say, you have to sign. If you don't sign, your son will be killed. This is how these rascals, they are all ruling the countries. That's why Prabhupada called them rascals. Perfectly called them. Ruffians, hooligans. They have to be, they should not have any mercy for these people. So much these people are killing us, all of us. And that's why we are suffering so much in this material world. And that is the reason for the corona. Corona is coming because the ruler is completely adharmic, completely adharmic. And that is the reason we are suffering so much. So, and there was one fellow, uh, his name is Chidambaram, finance minister. He has done so much corruption. And he comes from the jail. And then he says he's very happy, he's smiling. How can you smile? You made a corruption of 1,200 crores and you can come and smile without even iota of guilty. No guilty. No guilty. No consciousness. They are all going to Raurava planet, and 28 planetary hellish planets are ready waiting for them. They cannot get liberation because they are plundering the people. And it's mentioned in the Bhagavatam. Dasya prayashu rajashu. Dasyana means plunderers. The rulers will be plunderers, and that's what is happening. So, but Yudhishthira Maharaj was completely opposite. All the people were paying taxes. All the businessmen, they were making big money and they were making taxes. All the Vaishyas were making money and they were giving taxes. And all the Brahmins, they need not do anything. They have to do the yajnas and homas and Bhagavad Dharma and Bhagavatam discussion. Every day you used to sit and hear Bhagavatam, Krishna Katha. And all the people are enlightened in spiritual consciousness. There was no animalistic concept at all. So this is how. Therefore, the whole process is that Krishna is pleased. And that's why we can see in 110.2, Prabhupada writes, Sutta Vacha says that Prita Manaha, that word is very important. Very beautiful verse. Sam Purvamsha Davakni Nirgatam Samo Kritavya Bhava Bhavano Harihi Nirshe Niveshayayitva Nijaraja Ishvaro Yudhishtiram Pritamana Babuva. This is a very important word. Yudhishthira Pritamana. Pritamana means Prabhupada writes, Krishna is pleased in his mind. This is how we have to please Krishna. The whole process of Krishna consciousness, waking up for Mangalarti, chanting the holy names, and reading Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, attending the programs, is all to please Krishna, waking for Mangalarti. So, when you wake up for Mangalarti 3:30, at the time the body will say, mind will say, please take rest. But we have to please our spiritual master. Because I remember, I think I told once, yeah, Gopalakrishna Maharaj traveled from US and then came to Delhi. From Delhi to Vrindavan, he came around 2 o'clock in the morning. And then 3:30, he was in 4:30, he was in the altar to do Arati, the Vrindavan temple, and Raman Reddy. How is it possible? Because he loves Mangala. And this is how, because he wants to please his spiritual master. Pleasing the spiritual master and Krishna are non-different. Krishna and spiritual master are non-different. So, Yasha Prasada, Bhagavad Prasada, Yasha Prasada. So, actually, it is not pleasing for our mind. My mind says, no, don't read Bhagavatam. My mind says, don't do Mangalarati. Let us enjoy for some time. Let me sleep up to 7. The mind will take. But we have to see, I am doing for Krishna. I am to please Krishna. This is very important. You have to see Krishna is pleased, a spiritual master. He is seeing through a CCTV camera. He is seeing you through a super soul. Whether this fellow is waking up for Mangalarati really for me or not. So that is what we have to see. So it is not pleasing to our body. It is not pleasing to our mind to wake up, to study Bhagavatam. Bhagavatam we don't want to study. Bhagavatam is a dry subject. I don't want to read. But my spiritual master likes. Then I will. Book distribution I don't like. But my spiritual master likes. I will do the book distribution. Whatever, whatever the spiritual master likes, whatever the Krishna likes, that's what we have to do. And this is why Prita Manaha. We have to please Krishna. So pleasing Krishna is the ultimate objective of all Krishna consciousness. Whatever we are doing, every day we are doing this Mangalarti, Bhagavatam is, are we pleasing Krishna? Are we pleasing our senses? Are we pleasing our body? Are we pleasing our mind? Are we pleasing Krishna? Every day we have to evaluate yourself. And that is how you should measure that whether you are progressing towards Krishna consciousness. Every day you please Krishna, automatically you will wake up. Automatically you will chant with loving. The love, the attentive chanting will Krishna Mati. Mati will go to Krishna. Otherwise, the chanting will be haywire. So this is how we have to be attentive to Krishna. So this is a very important point for us. How to please Krishna? How to please the Gurudev? It is not Prita Manaha. Krishna should be pleased. That is the whole objective. And because Yudhishthira Maharaj pleased Krishna, how did he please Krishna? We will see Yudhishthira Maharaj. How did he do? So there is a nice formula which is mentioned in the pages of the Bhagavatam. Nice verse. This verse is spoken by Narada Muni to Prachetas. The Prachetas are the sons of Prajapati Daksha. So they were going for tapas, normal tapas, and then rule the kingdom and do the Kshatriya Dharma and all. But Narada Muni met them and told them, "Where are you going? I am going to the forest to do tapas." That is okay. What is the purpose? To come and rule the kingdom? No, this is not the purpose. Main purpose is Bhagavad Dharma. Krishna consciousness, please do. And then they became devotees. And then he was giving instruction in fourth canto. Very nice verse. And Narada Muni gives a formula how to please Krishna. Ashu, immediately. Very nice formula. This verse you should memorize. All of you should memorize. Very important verse. And you can easily remember also what are all the qualities required. Three things only Krishna says. Narada Muni says three things are required. And in fact, you see, devotees are more merciful than the Lord. Correct? That's what we know. See, Krishna says in the Yoma Bhakta Samapri, you have to Adveshta, Sarvabhutana, Maitri Karna, Yavichan, Nirmamo, Nehengara, Samadukka, Sanducha, Sadhana Yogi. He gives so many things. But here, Narada Muni compressed everything and says that three things are required to satisfy quickly Janardana, Krishna. Very beautiful verse. Fourth canto, 31st chapter, 19th verse. 4, 31, 19. Maybe I will mention here. This verse, please memorize and keep it in your diary always. Just writing it. It is not going. I don't know, some problem is that chat. I'm not able to send. So, 4:31:19. So this is very important for you to understand. The verse says like this: Dayaya sarva bhuteshu santushtayena kenava sarvendriya upashantaya tushyati ashu janardana. What he says? Dayaya sarva bhuteshu. Daya means be merciful to all living entities. Even an ant we should be. Just like we can see this Jadaparda was walking, and then he was walking on the palanquin. He was carrying Raghuguna. At the time he saw ants. He doesn't want to crush the ants. 4:31:19. 4:31:19. 31:19, not 9, 10. Yes, correct. Yes, this is the verse. Yes. Dayaya sarva bhuteshu santushtayena kenava sarvendriyopashantaya tushyati ashu janardana. Our Maharaj analyzed this verse so wonderfully and he gave a wonderful realization. So, I will give you an acronym so that you can remember this for your lifetime. You will never forget this verse. In your lifetime, you will not forget. So, our Maharaj says, first is Dayaya. Daya means mercy. From the word mercy, what is the first letter in the mercy? M. Put M separately. Okay? M. Mercy. Satisfaction and control. Not going. I don't know why it is not going. So, First is mercy. Daya sarva bhuteshu. Daya means mercy to all living entities. Sarva, easily we can understand. Bhuteshu, all living entities. Santushtya. Santushtya means you should be satisfied. Yena kenava, some or other we should be satisfied. Indriya upashantaya. Sarva indriya means all the senses. Upashantaya. Upashantaya means control. Shanta means peaceful, means control. Upashantaya means completely control. Then what happens? Tushyati. Become satisfied. Ashu immediately. Janardana Krishna. Krishna becomes satisfied by this. Tushyati Ashu Janardana. So this is how we should understand. And you can see, we are going to see later that when the cows, they were giving milk, so much profuse milk, it was like a river flowing. Now getting the milk, good milk is very difficult. Cow's milk at all is almost impossible. 100 rupees per liter and all. Now, at that time, the cows were giving so much milk for the calves, and also they were taking 20 liters, 30 liters, plus it was giving another 40 liters because they were all so happy because they were not sent it to butcher health. They were not sent it to guillotines to cut. That's how it is being done. It is going to see, you are going to see there were rivers, the river of milk will be there because the water will be, the milk will be flowing from the cow's udder. It is flowing like a river. That's what we are going to see later. We are going to see this. So, these things, Dayaya Sarva Bhuteshu, Santushtya. Santushtya means he satisfied in all condition of life. And then Sarvendriya Upashantaya. Very easy to understand. So, Dayaya Sarva Bhuteshu. M. Mercy to all living entities. M. Mercy means M. Take the word M. Santushtya means satisfaction. Yes. Yes is very important. And then Sarvendriya Upashantaya. Control. So, see. MSC. Mercy, satisfaction, control. MSC. This is the MSC which is required for us to qualify ourselves to have the darshan of the Lord, to satisfy Krishna. And this is the whole process. The entire Krishna consciousness, the entire Bhagavatam, entire Bhagavad Gita, entire Chaitanya Charitamrita, everything is compressed in one verse by Narada. That's how every verse is equal to the full Bhagavatam of Maharaj. MSC. Mercy, satisfaction, control. Mercy, satisfaction, control. Dayaya sarva bhuteshu santushta. Santushta means satisfied. Ena kenava, some or other. Sarvendriya upashantaya, control of the senses. Tushyadhyashu jana. Now we will see one by one. How do we understand this? So this very easy verse. Please memorize this verse. I request all the devotees. Next week, everyone should recite, and I want to hear. This verse is a homework for all of you. Next week, you should memorize this verse. When next time I meet, I want all the devotees at least for 20 minutes to recite. Then we will take the class. Maybe I will compress the class also. This is my humble request. This verse is so important. Very, 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 very important. So, you can see Yudhishthira Maharaj was not at all willing for the war. He said even 5 villages is okay. But however, Duryodhana did not agree because he was so envious. And then when he saw 64 crore people were killed after the battle, he was very depressed and he wants to do yajnas. And he was looking for emancipation. And then he goes to Bhishma. See the quality Daya Sarvabhutesh. His Daya was unparalleled. You cannot imagine how much he was merciful. Okay, when he was exiled to the forest, all of them went to the forest. And when they were in the forest, at that time, Duryodhana, Karna, and Sakuni, they planned, along with Bhishma and Drona, let us go to the forest and see how much suffering these Pandavas are suffering in the forest for 12 years. Let us see their suffering. We want to see, because that's what we saw now 4:6:47. We cannot tolerate the flourishing condition of others. Para Udayena, 4:6:47 of Bhagavad. So we cannot tolerate the flourishing condition of others. We cannot tolerate. Even devotees also. He is chanting nicely. He is doing nice devotion service. Then I become envious of that. So we cannot tolerate. And therefore, Duryodhana could not tolerate that even though they are suffering, he wants to see the suffering. So he goes to the forest. And then Krishna's arrangement, because he wants to trouble the devotees. And Krishna, by his own arrangement, he arranged the Gandharvas, the forest. And the Gandharvas came and they had a big fight with Duryodhana. And Duryodhana, Karna, Bhishma, Drona, everybody was. Bhishma was such a powerful personality. He can kill the entire Pandava family. You know, entire Pandava family he can kill, and he killed so many millions in the battlefield. Every day he was killing 40,000 soldiers single-handedly. He was killing. So powerful person, but he also became naive. He could not fight because Krishna's identity. Even though he was a devotee, but they came with a wicked plan, and Krishna said this plan should not work. And the Gandharvas fought them, and they put them tied up to the rope. And one of the soldiers from the Duryodhana family escaped, and they came to Yudhishthira Maharaj and asked Yudhishthira Maharaj, please, your Duryodhana and his family, Karna and everybody is being tied up because the Gandharva captured them. Can you come and release them? Yudhishthira Maharaj felt so much because Dayaya Sarvabhutesh. He could not tolerate even his own enemy, arch rival enemy, who was dead against killing him, who was dead against putting him into the forest for 12 years, who was dead against always envious of the Pandavas, who want to kill Bhima, who want to kill Arjuna, who want to kill Nakula, Sakadeva, Yudhishthira. They want to annihilate these people. And that person he was having Daya. Can you imagine? Can you imagine the Daya? So, how much we should be cautious not to harass even one living entity coming to the program is very difficult. So, we have to be very careful. We have to be Daya Sarva Bhutesh. We should be merciful to all the living entities. And this is the most important point. Okay. In fact, I was also very angry with the politicians and all. That is also not good. Because I was angry with them. No, that is also not good. Because I am not Daya Sarva Bhutesh. Because I am prejudiced. This is the mood of Yudhishthira Maharaj. And then he said to Bhima and Arjuna, please go and release them. This is our, because we have internal fight, doesn't matter. But they are all forming the Kuru dynasty, and Kuru dynasty should not be in jeopardy. And our kingdom should not be in trouble. Please go and release them. And Bhima and Arjuna told, what is this? Bhima said, very good. Let whatever we were supposed to do, they have done it. Very good. Let them be captured. I don't want to release. Then Yudhishthira Maharaj, if you are not going, I am going. Then immediately Bhima and Arjuna went and they relieved them all. See how much daya. And then you can see one more quality of Yudhishthira Maharaj. Yudhishthira Maharaj went to the bank. You know the famous pastime, Yajna Prashna, where they meet an Yaksha. Dharmaraj comes. His own father comes. They were. And then how all the Pandavas, they were about to drink the water because of the summer. And they all then they could not answer to Yaksha. They were not caring for Yaksha. And they drink the water and die. So Yudhishthira Maharaj comes and then he asked the questions and he saw the Yaksha is asking the same questions. He was so much lamenting that the brothers have died. And then Yaksha Prashna asked so many questions. All the questions Yudhishthira Maharaj answered without even an iota. His brothers are killed. Can you imagine? His brothers are killed and they are already dead, but his consciousness was completely clear because he was absolutely Krishna conscious. And he says, Daya Sarvabhuteshu. Yamadharmajaja has come from Yaksha. I have to answer him the question. This is my duty. I have to be merciful to him, even though he has killed my own brothers. Can you imagine the amount of dharma is? And in fact, it is mentioned that he was epitome of dharma in Mahabharata. Because of the dharma only, this uh, first what when the Pandu had a curse from one of the sages. So he told Kunti Maharani, you have the power which was given by Durvasa Muni. You invoke first Yamadharma. Don't invoke Indra or don't invoke Ayu. No, first Dharma I want. Because I want a Dharma Raja. And that's why Yudhishthira Maharaj was first came and then came Bhima and Arjuna. So you see how much meticulous Krishna ensured that through the heart of Pandu to get Yudhishthira Maharaj. And Yudhishthira Maharaj answered all the questions. At the end of the session, then the Yaksha says that I can relieve you. Okay, since I am very happy with you, completely satisfied with you. So what I'm going to do is, and then he says, I am Yamadharmaraj, your father. Then he understood, yes, he made pranams, and he said, I can give you one option. One option is that one person can be saved. Not all can be saved. One person only I can give you. So, if I were to be in the position of Yudhishthira Maharaj, what I will do, I would like to have Arjuna because he was an expert archer and the army is going to be there. We will be planning that archery. We have to win the battle. So, that's why I should have a very good archer. And Arjuna is very good archer, best with the Kandiva. So, if I take Arjuna out, it is better Then Bhima. Bhima is not there, also doesn't matter, because Arjuna is the one who is going to win the battle. And he knows Arjuna is the most powerful of all the Pandavas. So, if I were to be in the position of Yudhishthira Maharaj, and if I was a Kshatriya, I would do that. But you see, his Daya, he says that my mother, Kunti, has got, I am alive. But Madhuri's son should not suffer. Why they should suffer? And therefore give me Nakula to be alive. And then Yaksha was completely blasted into pieces. His mind became completely blasted. He said that how come such a noble quality exists in you? I'm really pleased with you, my son, and I'm going to give you all the Pandavas. So all the Pandavas came alive. Just because of this Daya Sarvam. He was thinking about not about himself. Means when we will see, when we will be merciful to all living entities, when we think less of ourselves. So now our Sham Sundar Chandra Prabhu, Anu Prabhu, they are always thinking of all of you. How to cultivate you, how to cultivate devotions. They are not thinking about themselves. They are don't sacrifice. They sacrifice. Arun Prabhu has got a small child, but still he's not worried about it. He is more interested in to see everybody come for the program. So he's so enthusiastic. Why they are doing it? Because Dayaya Sarvabhutesh. And the best form of mercy, Prabhupada writes the various purports of the Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita, is to give Krishna consciousness. This is the best mercy we can give to the devotees. So this is very important for us to understand the value of Krishna consciousness. And this quality, Yudhishthira Maharaj excelled to the highest extent. And in fact, and that's why his name is called Ajatashatru. He didn't find anybody, even Duryodhana, he didn't find as enemy. Never. And if you can see, can you imagine? Dhritarashtra did not give even five land, and he poisoned him. And how much of problems they created? How much problems they created? Huh? So this is how he was so example. And now we will discuss about it. Now, um, so what we have to understand is that we should be, even some devotees may be senior or junior, but we have to be merciful to all. That's how we should cultivate. Even if they chant one round for 1 year, doesn't matter. Please don't drive them about. It's very important. And that's why I will tell you a classic example of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, his disciple, his divine grace, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he had disciples who are all brahmachari disciples. So what has happened one day in the month, one of the devotee has got some relationship with the girl and he started moving with the girl. And some or other, the disciples came to know, and then they complained to they didn't complain. They decided to oust him from the mud and told him, "You just get away from this place. You are not fit to be a disciple here. You have just lost your Brahminical brahmacharya, and therefore you don't deserve to stay with us. You no longer associate with us. You are polluted by a ladies' association. You just get rid of from us." And then he went out. After some time, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati was going through, and then he asked, "What has happened? Why this fellow is missing? Why?" He was thinking about this disciple. Why this fellow is missing? And then the disciple came and told that this person is having a relationship with the girl, and therefore he lost his brahmacharya, and therefore we have decided to cut him off the relationship. Siddhanta cried. You know how difficult to make one devotee. I am spending tons and tons of blood, make a person to chant the holy names. And you just drive him off just because of a small problem, small negligence by that devotee. Then that devotee, that disciple, when he went into the market in the Calcutta streets, he was crying, going to street after street. Prabhupada, when you will accept me? Oh, Thakura, when you accept me, please. I've done a mistake. I accept the mistake. Please accept me. He was praying desperately to come to the association. Then Chaitanya Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati said, please go and see and bring him. Don't talk to me till you bring him here. Then he brought him back and he was very pleased and he became an exalted devotee, completely purified of the contamination of the association of the earth. Satya Punanti Upasprishtaha. The first canto it is mentioned. No? Immediately he was purified and all the contamination got away and he became a very exalted disciple of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati. So that is what we are saying. Nityananda Prabhu. Nityananda Prabhu, when he saw the Jagai and Matai, and he says that Jagai in the Chaitanya Bhagavata, he says that now these people are so much drunk, they are intoxicated, they are Brahminical, they lot all the Brahminical, they are become hooligans. But If Chaitanya Mahaprabhu delivers that, the whole world will come to know. So I have to be merciful to them. Therefore, he gave a merciful glance. And then he goes back to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and says that this is the people, they are behaving like this. Then can you please deliver them? And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, the moment you Maya Dakshena Prakriti, when you saw your Aksha, when you see with your eyes on the grace, on the compassion towards Jagai and Matai, already they are liberated. It's a matter of time, they will come to me. Don't worry about it. And we know the past time. So I don't want to. So Nityananda Prabhu was how much merciful. And then Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati I told, and then there was one devotee. I will explain about my Maharaj also, how he was so merciful. What has happened one time, it was a Sunday feast and a lot of crowd comes. On the day, one of our Maharaj disciple has kept in the locker some good amount, 20,000, 30,000 rupees, something. And then he didn't lock the door. The God has been in the first floor of the temple. Temple is down. First floor is the office. So where he has kept the money and he didn't lock the door. And the door was not locked. So he came in a hurry because of something. He wanted to take some money and then he closed the door. And he closed the door with the Godrej like that. And then he came without closing the lock. So at the time, some people came, and one fellow came and he opened the door and he opened the office room and took the 20,000 rupees. And took the 20,000 rupees and then went away. And then Maharaj called the disciple, what has happened? This 20,000 is gone. Maharaj said, blasted the devotee. Maharaj said, what is this? How careless you are. You are not locked the door of the room, office room. You are not locked the bureau. How careless you are. This is how you will treat Krishna's money. Krishna's money is so many devotees all over the world are sending the money with blood and sweat. They are working very hard. And then you just squander the money like this. I don't like this at all. Maharaj chastised him like anything. And then the devotee became very upset. And then in front of Maharaj, he told, I curse the fellow, the thief who has stolen the money, suffer in this material world for millions of lifetimes. Maharaj caught hold of him. How dare you say like this? How dare you say that you have to suffer? You are a Vaishnava. You are chanting Krishna's name. You are offending a living entity. That means they will never come to Krishna. No. Magas Tandrim. Sorry. Mamangalam Tata. Mamangalam Tata means never say inauspicious words. Bhagavad, 4th canto, when when Dhruva Maharaj goes to Suniti Mata, when Dhruva Maharaj tells that he could not sit on the lap, and how Surichi Mata throw him down from the lap of his father, Uttanapada, at that time Suniti Mata tell him, Ma Mangalam Tata, please don't think inauspicious to your stepmother Suruchi. Please, she has done ignorantly. Please don't think inauspicious. Maharaj said, same verse. Don't think inauspiciousness. If you think inauspicious, he will suffer in the material world. I pardon him. Because of your carelessness, you lost it. That's why I chastise you. Because it is Krishna's money. But if you are going to, if I'm going to, you are going to curse him, then he is going to suffer perpetually in this material world. Vaishnava Aparad, there is no recourse. You will never come to Krishna. I want that living entity to come to Krishna. This is Dayaya Sarvabhutesh. And then the devotee fell at the feet of Maharaj. Please, Maharaj, never I will do that. So this is how we should understand. Once Prabhupada was in Philippines, and then he was walking in the forest. I think not in Philippines, in US. And then one devotee saw in the Los Angeles somewhere that there was a cactus. It's a thorn. And then the devotee said, Prabhupada, this cactus is useless. What is the use of cactus? It is in the desert. It doesn't serve any purpose. And also it is growing in the desert. And it's not useful for anything. Then Prabhupada said, you are useless. Everything which is created in this world is useful for Krishna. Krishna has got a purpose. And then after some time, the cactus was never used. Now, cactus and aloe vera is being used for cleaning the hair, for cleaning so many things, medicines it is being used. The cactus is being used now. So, Prabhupada said, nothing in the world of creation of Krishna is useless. You are useless. He chastised him. So, Dayaya, even to a cactus, he was having the mercy. That is the mood of the Vaishnava, and that's how we should be. So, this is how we should think about Krishna. And there is a story, but that story I will tell you later, not now. Santushta enakenava. Santushta enakenava means we have to be satisfied. Satisfaction means Our mind should be satisfied. Our Maharaj says, satisfaction of the mind can be obtained only by taking the mind away from the thought of sense gratification. If you are thinking of sense gratification, yes, after the class, I'm going to have rasagulla, I'm going to have channa patura, I'm going to have puri sabji and puri masala, I'm going to have pav bhaji, and I go gol gofte, I'm going to have, and then I'm going to have this. Then what happens? Then we cannot have satisfaction because we will be hankering for more. And therefore, the best way is to divert the mind to Vedic literature, Bhagavad, Bhagavad Gita, which is fully satisfying stories, Puranas, and the Mahabharata. This is what we have to see. When Krishna came to see Yudhishthira Maharaj in the forest, he was completely satisfied. He was never showing any signs. Oh, Krishna, you have put me into difficulty. You are putting me in this difficulty. And now I'm fighting with Krishna. Krishna, I was in Abu Dhabi, nice position. Now you put me in Chennai. I'm fighting with Krishna because I don't have any satisfaction in the mind. I'm completely unsatisfied. So because I want to enjoy the world. But Yudhishthira Maharaj was in the forest. He received Krishna. He said, I'm very satisfied. Krishna came 2-3 times to say, come with the sages. But he was not, never showed dissatisfaction because he was always absorbed in Krishna consciousness. He was having a simple living. And that's why Prabhupada says simple living and high thinking. So that's why the Shad Goswamis, they were ready to stay in one, they were not ready to stay in one tree more than 2 days, 3 days, because they should not get attached. And that's how Tektva Turnam Ashesha Mandalapati Shrenim Sada Tuchavat. What a statement by Srinivas Acharya in the Shad Goswami. Tektva Turnam. Turnam means immediately. Tektva means give it up. Ashesha Mandalapati. Ashesha means unlimited Mandalapati. Finance minister was Sanatan Goswami. Rupal Goswami was the chief minister of Nawab Hussain Shah. Such an opulent position. Crores and crores of gold coins. You cannot imagine, suppose you have 100 crores with you. How much opulence you have? And that opulence, what he did? Tektva Turnam Ashesha Mandalapati Shenim Sada Tuchavat. Shenim Sada Tuchavat. Tuchavat, they think that is insignificant. Because their only thing is to get satisfied with Krishna consciousness. Santushta yena kenava, not by material opulence. And therefore, it is very important for us to understand. So, when we accept our situation, whatever the situation we are placed, Santushta yena kenava means we are yena kenava, some or other we are satisfied, means the satisfaction of the mind means peaceful mind. The peaceful mind means controlled mind. Controlled mind means controlled senses. Controlled senses means we can engage in devotion service. And then we can enjoy the Krishna consciousness. Otherwise, the mind will be hankering. Krishna, ye de do, wo de do, mo de do, wo de do, ye de do. Then the satisfaction is not there. Then this is the satisfaction is the shoe which we have to have. I think Bhagavatam, there is a verse also. Shoe of satisfaction should be worn by us. It is mentioned in 7th Canto of the Bhagavatam. I don't remember the verse. I will try to get the verse later, not now. So the shoe of satisfaction is very important for us to the, and that's why you can see why, how much is satisfied. Vishan Mahagni Purushaya Darshanat Asat Sabaya Vanabacha Krishtata Mride Mride. Kunti Maharani says, so much problems we faced. Kunti Maharani is telling to Krishna, praying to Krishna, Vishan Mahagni Purushaya. Vishan Mahagni means first they give Bhima the poison. Then what has happened? They put in the great fire and the Lakshagraha, they put in the fire. And then they were sent to the animal forest where they will be eaten by cannibals. And then Draupadi was distraught in the vicious assembly. And from suffering from the during exile in the forest. And the battle where so many kings were killed, where Garodkacha was killed, Abhimanyu was killed. And now he says, Buddhimana says, you have saved us from Ashwatthama. The Brahmashtra. Vishan Mahagni Purushaya Darshanat 1825, I think. Sada Santushta Manasaha. Person, yes, correct. Wonderful, Prabhu. 7:15:17. Thank you very much. Who is this, Prabhu? Did this?
I'm Varun, Prabhuji.
Yes, wonderful, Prabhu. Excellent. Santa Santushta Manasaha. Sarva Shivamaya Dishaha. Sarkara Kantaka Dipyo. Eto Punat Padam Shivam. For a person who is a suitable shoe on his feet, there is no danger when he walks on pebbles and thorns. For him, everything is auspicious. Similarly, for one who is always self-satisfied, there is no distress. Indeed, he feels happiness everywhere. And this is the main thing, shoe of satisfaction. Very good verse. Thank you very much. 7:15, 17. So this is very important, very good, wonderful. But we are reading Bhagavatam. This is how we should give us. I am really extremely elated. Thank you very much, Varun Prabhu. Varun Prabhu ji ki jai. Because I don't remember the verse. I remember vaguely. But you have given me the verse. Wonderful it is. I'm yet to read that verse. I know I have read somewhere, but I forgot. My memory is not there. So here, all these problems came at any point of time. Krishna, Yudhishthira Maharaj never complained. In fact, Draupadi complained why he didn't come for for disturbing, why he didn't come. But Yudhishthira Maharaj never ever complained to Krishna that you have been put into so many difficulties. Nowhere. Even Kunti Maharaj said, we have gone through all this, you protected. She elevated all this. But here, Yudhishthira Maharaj never said that. But don't undermine Arjuna, don't undermine the Draupadi, or don't undermine Kunti Maharaj. All are exalted devotees. There is no difference. But Yudhishthira Maharaj is also exalted. Just to exemplify Yudhishthira Maharaj, I am telling. But all are pure devotees. None of them are. They tell them in the different ways. That's all. Draupadi Mata was saying that why did it come? She was asking. But however, you can see, never even asked. Even when Durvasa Muni came with his 10,000 disciples, at that time also he was not perturbed at all. He was always remembering Krishna. And immediately Krishna came and eat that leaf, palak, a leaf he took, and he satisfied all this. And therefore, we have to understand. And the best example is Bhishma. Bhishma was telling in 1912, he says, Aho Kashtam, Aho Anyayam, Yuyam Dharma Nandana, you are Dharma Nandana. He's telling Yudhishthira Maharaj, you are Dharma, you are the Dharma son. Jivitam nar harati, Klishtam, 1912, Klishtam means this suffering you should not live. Jivam na harati. Harati means you don't deserve to live. But Vipra Dharma Achyutashraya, because you were taking the shelter of the Brahmanas and Vaishnavas. Achyutashraya means you are taking shelter of Krishna, and Dharma means the principles of Bhagavad Dharma. And that is the quality of this Maharaj. And that is the reason you are Santushta Ena Kenava. Because if you are completely absorbed in the shelter of Krishna, then you will be satisfied. But presently, we are not satisfied because we are not completely sheltered under the protection of Krishna. We always want the other shelters, but all other shelters will crumble down. That's why, because every shelter in this world, people take shelter, so many shelters, and all the shelters crumble down. Actually, my mother-in-law was totally dependent on her husband, and husband passed away. She lost the shelter. So, shelter, we depend on the material people, is always crumbled down. The supreme shelter is Krishna, and that's why Prabhupada writes in this purport 110.5, the way is always to take refuge under the protection of the Lord. That means taking shelter, Vachyuta Ashraya. Ashraya means the shelter of Krishna means accepting things. Achyuta Ashraya means what? Means we accept whatever is happening in our lives. It's Krishna's arrangement. It's not so easy. It is not so easy, Prabhuji's mothers. I am not here to accept Krishna's push. It's a long journey, but it is a struggle. But the struggle is good. One day we'll come to consciousness and accept Krishna's plan. We may not accept now. In fact, I will tell you a classic example. My son wants to study engineering. I was worried whether he will study, pass, and all. Now he passed the exam. Now he gone to MS. He finished MS also and he's working in America. So I was worried whether, because 8th, 9th, he was not doing well. He was so much worried about 10th standard. At that time, so much of anxiety. We were not satisfied. Now everything is over. Now we are, other worry has started. Now we have to get him married, to get a good girl. So that is the next worry. So this is how we are never satisfied with our present condition. But this is the main satisfaction is the shoe. If you are satisfied, you will not be in distress. And that's what we saw. The Varun Prabhu's verse 7:15, 17. This shoe of satisfaction we should wear all the time. It is not so easy, but we try. Krishna's mercy, it will happen. Now, next we'll go to Sabendriya Upashantaya. I will just close it quickly because there is a nice story and then control of the senses. So here, Yudhishthira Maharaj was so much controlled in the senses. Never, he was not controlling the senses. Though in the forest also, whatever food he gets, he was eating. Whatever not getting, no problem. They were eating roots and fruits, and till the time they got Akshay Patra from the sun, they were not getting normal food. They were struggling for the first initial years before they got the Akshay Patra. Till actually Patra, it was struggle for them. So even then, they were not hankering for anything. And because, why? Because of the control. Unless we control the senses, we cannot be satisfied. Unless we satisfy ourselves, we cannot be merciful to other living entities. Unless we are merciful to living entities, we cannot satisfy Krishna. How it works, you see? How this works. MSC, mercy, satisfaction, and control. This is the principle of the bhakti. And in all circumstances, we should remember this. This is a very simple formula, but very difficult to practice. Very easy to say for me, but very difficult to practice. But don't worry, because at least we are thinking about it. One day we will apply it. Krishna will give the mercy for us to apply because it is His mercy. His mercy is required to have mercy with other living beings. In order to have mercy for others, that is also His costless mercy. Costless mercy means without any motive, He gives us the mercy. Costless mercy. So this costless mercy will come from Krishna. The costless mercy. How we get the costless mercy? When we try to satisfy Krishna. Wake up for Mangalarti. We don't want to wake up. But spiritual master wants, Krishna wants. Chanting I don't like, but Krishna wants. I'll chant this. Krishna doesn't. I don't like Bhagavatam. I will read Bhagavatam. I don't like Chaitanya Sadhamatam. I will read Chaitanya. I don't read Nectar of Instruction. No. This is is very dry. I don't want. But I will read. Because it is Krishna's pleasure. And that is how we should do certain things which are not as a matter of duty. And if we do this as a matter of duty, then Krishna responds. Because Bhagavatam says 9:4:48, the protection for a devotee starts from the beginning of the devotion. The moment you start, moment a devotee touches you and tell you to chant Krishna's name, Krishna's protection starts. Krishna's protection starts. That's why we can see Krishna's protection starts, and that's why so many people are not affected by corona. Even though they are affected, they come back, except for few. Just like Bhakti Char Swami Maharaj and one of the Swami Maharaj, they have left because Prabhupada wants them to be engaged in some other service. Prabhupada wants. So Prabhupada and Krishna wants they should be engaged in another planetary system along with Prabhupada. So Bhakti Char Swami Maharaj went. So that's all. So otherwise, he tries to, and now Pankajangin Prabhu, he will come back, definitely, because his improvement is there. So Krishna will arrange according to Krishna because Krishna decides. And therefore, we have to leave to the will of Krishna. That's why Prabhupada told when he was 1977, when he was on the bed, on the deathbed, he told if Krishna wants sanctions, then it is okay. Krishna doesn't sanction, I'm ready to go. So this is how. Santushta Enigma means Prabhupada was happy even with the deathbed. And that's why we can see Prabhupada, Santushta. Control of the senses means he was eating every third day some juice. And he was giving dictation Bhagavatam. This is the mood. Sarvendriya Upashantaya. Because he was his main prasadam for the soul was Shravanam Kirtanam. Please chant holy names. And this Shravanam Kirtanam was making him alive. Body was not cooperating, but his soul and the mind and the senses were completely upashantaya, completely controlled. And therefore he was able to. Then I will tell you a nice example. But in our case, our indriyas are not controlled. Next 2 days, Ramanavami is coming and we have to fast till noon or the evening. We are worried. Oh, stomach में क्या हो जाता है? हमको उधर साबुदाना, समा राइस, किन्ना, ये टमाटर चटनी, ये सब खाना पड़ेगा. ऐसा हम सोचते हैं. Because we are always worried about Ekadashi and whenever the Ekadashi comes, it is distress. Because that day is austerity. You don't want to do it. Because austerity and cleanliness. Austerity is the only way. Nayam Dego Dev Kashtan Kaman Arude. Tapo Divyam. Tapo Divyam, transcendental Divyam. Tapo means transcendental austerity. It's very quiet. And therefore, we won't eat. When the Ekadashi comes, next day I'm waiting when I am going to eat Rasagulla tomorrow. When I am going to eat chakli. When I am going to eat gulab jam. This is how. So when I am going to eat matar paneer. When I am going to eat channa bhatura. This is how. So Sarvendriya. In this connection, I will tell you a story and then we will finish. Actually, he is not from our Sampradaya. He is from Shankaracharya Sampradaya. And he is called Mahapiriva. He is an exalted devotee of Lord Shiva. And also, he installed almost 20 temples, 30 temples worship in Kanjipuram. Kanjipuram is a place, it is called Temple City, it is called. There are about more than 400 temples, including Lord Shiva, Lord Ganesha, Lord Subramanya, and Vishnu and Shiva temples are there in Kanchipuram. And he was the one who is administering this Kanchipuram. Kanchipuram is about 80 kilometers from Chennai. Yeah? And this Mahapariva is such an exalted personality. And also, you should remember this Mayapur Narasimha. You know, Mayapur Narasimha deity is because of his mercy. Because he had a stapati. Actually, there was a problem in Mayapur. There was a lot of dacoity, and therefore, after Prabhupada left, and then somebody suggested that you give Ugra Narasimha, Stamba Narasimha, where Krishna comes from the pillar, and then all the dacoity will go. So the Stamba Narasimha nobody wants to do in India, and then he came that devotee is one of the devotee Prabhupada's disciple, Atma Tattva Prabhu. He is from Chennai, so he came to Chennai and he went to Kanchipuram and he met one Stapati to do Stamba Narasimha. He was not willing to do. And then the Stapati went and asked this Mahapariva, Sankaracharya, and then Mahapariva told, yes, for ISKCON, you do this Stamba. And this Stamba Narasimha is being worshipped by Pankajangir Prabhu and Janani Master. And because all the construction, everything was done, this Stapati who sculpted this Stamba Narasimha, there's a big pastime, wonderful pastime is there. We can discuss sometime later how the Narasimha of Mayapur has come. Very nice pastime. We'll discuss sometime later. So I'm going to give brief. So that sculptor was doing everything under the direction of this Mahapariva, Sankaracharya. He left the planet in 2000 something, 100 years. He lived for 100 years. Very austere person. So I will tell his pastime. How his control of senses is there. Excellent control of senses. So what has happened? He was in Kanjipuram somewhere. So one day they made some palak sabji they made. And then he took the prasadam and then he liked and he asked for something more and they gave the palak. So they ate. And then they came to know the disciples who are working under all the volunteers who are working under him. The Kanchipuram Mutt is one of the biggest mutt of Sankaracharya. So this disciples are very happy that Mahapariva likes this palak very well. So they purchased the palak and they got the palak again and they gave. And then this palak was eaten again on the second day. And then he ate the third day. The fourth day also they made the same palak. The fourth day, he understood that the senses are pulling him to the palak. That means he is a saint, he is an acharya, he is a brahmachari, sannyasi, and tridandi sannyasi, and therefore he is supposed to control the senses. So he said, I don't want this palak, he told. And then they were all very upset. They were all crying. Why he is refusing the palak? Why is he refusing the palak? They were worried, they were crying. And then they called and they called, they went and spoke to Mahapariva and Sankaracharya and said, Mahapariva, what has happened? What offense we have done? Why you are not taking the palak? Then he said, oh fool, now I am supposed to propagate Krishna consciousness or whatever the religious consciousness, to Bhagavad Dharma to everybody. And I cannot control. I cannot avoid one palak. Where is the control of my senses? If I am becoming subject, I am becoming a servant of my senses, go das, what is the use of having this sannyasa form? I have to renounce it today. I was thinking last 2-3 days I'm eating the palak. That means I'm getting controlled by this. Because the mind and my body and my tongue is getting controlled by this. So what is the use of my existence as an acharya? I'm not fit to be an acharya, I should renounce and go. And that's why I told voluntarily, I don't want a palak. See the amount of austerity they have done. So we cannot imitate those acharyas. We cannot imitate those great people, but we should try to control as much as possible. Try to do the fasting up to 12 o'clock. Try to do Ekadashi fasting and try to do more Bhagavatam. And this is why we can control the senses. So this is how we should understand that there's a nice verse also. We will discuss later in time session. We'll stop here. Bhagavatam Grantaraj ki jai. So that's why he was completely controlled. Santushta enkenava daya sarvabhuteshu. And always the people were very happy. There were no taxes. Taxes were paid by the merchants very happily. And therefore, there was so much opulence in Yudhishthira Maharaj. And it was only for the period of about 36 years. In fact, Parikshit Maharaj was there for 60 years, whereas he ruled, Yudhishthira Maharaj ruled only for 36 years. But that was the golden period. They said Krishna wants to establish Dharma and Bhagavad Dharma through Yudhishthira Maharaj because he was Daya Sarvabhuteshu, Santushta Enakenava, Sarvendriya Upashantaya, and therefore he becomes Preeti Mana. Preeti Mana means he becomes completely, Krishna becomes completely happy with the performance of Yudhishthira Maharaj. And therefore he wants to establish Krishna consciousness in the Hastinapur. And therefore he was not only working for his material benefit, he was working for the spiritual upliftment. And therefore, lot of Krishna Kathas, Rama Kathas, Rama Kathas, Mahabharata Kathas, all the Kathas were going in his people, and people were absorbed in Krishna consciousness. All of them were Krishna conscious. And therefore, the whole atmosphere was Bhagavad Dharma. And therefore, everything was giving in opulence. The rivers, the mountain, the forest, everything. This is how we understand that if you follow Krishna, everything will follow. And that's what happened for all the opulence. All the 108 temples came because he was trying to satisfy his spiritual master and Krishna. He was seeing whether I am pleasing Krishna. So every attitude, every time we deal with any devotee, are we pleasing Krishna by this attitude? Are we pleasing our spiritual master? Suppose my spiritual master is here, my Krishna is here. I will behave like this with this devotee. I will behave with this living entity like this. Whether the wife, son, child, everybody, we should ask this question. Whether this will please Krishna? No. Then I should not behave. And this is how we should cultivate our bhakti. Hare Krishna. Bhagavatam Granth ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srila Gurudev ki jai. Gaur Prema.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for the wonderful session, Prabhuji. So if any devotee has any question, you can unmute your mic, or you can comment on the comment box. Hare Krishna.
Anup Prabhu has not come, Prabhu. Anup Prabhu.
Anup Prabhuji has a lot of services in his place, UAE, in Dubai.
Dubai,
That's why.
in
Yes.
UAE. Okay, okay. Okay, okay. Oh, they are having separate programs like that?
I didn't talk to him in detail actually.
Okay, okay. What about Sam Charan Prabhu? Is there?
Shamchandra Prabhu is now doing a Bhagavad Katha in, there is a place, Hyderabad in Pakistan.
Okay, okay, okay. Oh, he's taking class there. Okay, okay.
Yes, yes, yes. He will
Okay.
soon
Now
join us back. Yes.
so you are managing now these classes, correct?
It's just mercy of people like you who agree to take lectures. Otherwise, what I can do?
Yeah,
Just
very good, very
inform
good.
us.
Now they are expanding. That's why they should expand. Yes, that's why it's very, very good.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dvārkā Pranam.
Yes, Mataji. Tell me. Chinmayi Mataji, na?
No, this is Manisha.
Manisha Mataji. Yes, Mataji. Please.
During your lecture, you just mentioned that when we are listening to Bhagavatam or we are chanting, so in the back, in our mind, we are thinking that what should we be cooking, what should we be eating, all those stuff, and because we are in Maya. But with me, when I get up in the morning, so I start thinking that what should I be cooking, what should I be offering to Krishna, which vegetable, what breakfast should I be making for him. So is it different from what you said, or this is also the Maya, that because I am thinking in back of my mind that what I will be cooking, because that's the first question that comes in my mind in the morning, that what will I be cooking for Krishna for breakfast and what would be for his lunch. So what's the difference?
Yes, excellent question, Mataji. Very practical and very intricate question. Anyway, I will try to answer in the best of my ability, whatever little knowledge I have. Mataji, what we have to do is, yes, we have to think about what prasadam we are going to offer to Krishna. We have to offer the nice prasadam to Krishna. That is very important. And that is natural, Mataji. Not 100% we are not in the spiritual consciousness where we will do only for the pleasure of Krishna. Slowly, slowly we get purified. But the moment you think what I am going to do for Krishna, the word Krishna purifies that consciousness. Okay? The moment you put equation Krishna into the picture, Okay, you may have material motives, but Krishna purifies, because Bhagavatam says, no, Shrimatam Shokata Krishna Punya Shravana Gita. Then the Stova Badran. Krishna will remove, because you want to put Krishna in the center and offer it to Krishna. And therefore, the moment you think I am going to do it for Krishna, my my Lala, Krishna, I'm going to offer, my Laddu Gopal, I'm going to offer. The moment you think like that, that means it is purified. So your consciousness is purified to that extent. Maybe we have some inner motives that I have to make this subject, that subject, and all. That's okay. That's natural. It's not 100% possible. But you are thinking about Krishna, no? That is very important. So you have to remember Krishna some or other, some or other, Krishna Enakena Prakaran, Manaha Krishna Niveshya. Some or other we have to remember Krishna, and that's what we are trying. And that trying is very good. So that will give you purify over your consciousness, and slowly we will do for the pleasure so that Krishna is pleased. So don't worry about Mataji. You are on the right track already. So there is no problem at all. You can think for pleasing Krishna. No problem. That's just to add Krishna into your thinking. That's how we should do.
Sure, sure. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. That was enough.
Somebody is asking some questions.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
As tomorrow is Ramavami, how many rounds should we chant and observe fasting till when? Okay, very good. Ramanavami, I think you can chant extra rounds, Prabhu, whatever is possible according to your office place circumstances. And fasting, I think some places it is mentioned as evening up to 6, but actually Rama's appearance is somewhere in afternoon, noon also. So depends. What does the ISKCON calendar says? I have to check that. Maybe you can check the ISKCON calendar. 1 second. Just a second. ISKCON calendar says fast till noon. Okay. And then we have to break with Ekadashi Prasada, Sabudana Kichdi, or Sama rice Kichdi, or Kinna, or some fruits, or you can take some this, That's why Moongfali, especially with the ground nuts, we can take. That's also we can take. And that's how we should suggest Mother. Fast till noon, Mother. So because Lord Rama appeared in the 12 noon in the afternoon, and Krishna appeared in 12 noon in the night. So, and then you can chant some names, and also chant some Rama's pastimes also. You can read some Ramayana, and you can read from 9th canto, 10th chapter about Rama's appearance also. It's only one or two chapters only compressed, entire Ramayana. So you can read those chapters also. Purify them. Bhagavatam you can read. And then Rama Katha, so many Kathas, so many devotees have given. So we can hear those lectures. That will also purify our consciousness. So Rama is the most merciful incarnation of all the incarnation, and Maria the Purushottama is wonderful to remember. So, and then you asked, what is another question, Prabhu? Rounds you can chant as many as Ramanavami is not tomorrow. It is day after tomorrow. I think it is on 21st. I think fasting till noon. That's what we have. Okay, Mataji, you were asking something. Sorry, Mataji. I was just answering this question. Some Mataji was asking some question. Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes, Mataji. What is this Mataji name?
Yeah, I am Chinmay. My name is Chinmay, Prabhuji.
Yes, Mataji. Please, yes.
I just wanted to ask you, how can I manage when I do household work like cleaning हो या कोई भी मतलब household work हो जो ladies करती है सब घर में. So my whole day spends in that, and I currently I stay at in-laws house में. So I can't manage bhakti and children and household work. So like हर एक काम के मतलब जो कर्म करना है वो कृष्ण के लिए करना है. We have to serve Krishna in bhakti. So how can I manage? How can I serve Krishna while doing household work?
Correct. Very good, Mataji. Excellent question. So what we can do is, Mataji, what I suggest, no, if there is no objection from your mother-in-law and father-in-law, you can hear nice lectures. Some Matajis, Prabhujis have given a lot of lectures while cooking, while taking care of your child, while feeding your child, taking care of the child. You can hear some lectures. You may not be able to do devotion service, but you can hear. You can put some tape recorder or something, and you can hear. And you put a headphone, and you can go on hearing and doing the household work. My wife used to do like that. She used to do like that because while doing cutting vegetables, while serving this parents also, we can. But while doing serving the parents, we have to be very careful because they may ask something, and if you put a earphone, you may not hear what they are saying. So we can hear some Krishna Katha and some Kirtans and hear some Kirtans. You can do like that. Please don't make it as that I have to do only Krishna Katha, I have to do only my Krishna Katha. Not like that. Because the whole purpose of Krishna consciousness is that you have to total everything to Krishna. That's what Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita 5:10. Brahmanya adaya karmani sankyam tattva karodena. Lippedena papena padma patra ivamasa. Just like lotus flower, water you put on the lotus, it doesn't get sting. That's how the material world is like water, dirty water. But what we do when we add Krishna to it, and then we don't get attached to the results. We offer it to Krishna, then it becomes pure. So what we have to do is, you have to do immaculately well. Serve your in-laws, to serve your husband, to serve your mother. That is your devotion service. Because you got a small child. Devotion service. Actually, once Prabhupada was asked a question, Prabhupada, I got a child and I cannot do chanting. Prabhupada said, chanting is important, but child worship is more important than deity worship. He was telling I have to do deity worship. Forget about deity. Child worship is more important. This is the Prabhupada statement. Huh? It's not my statement. Prabhupada said child worship is more important than deity worship. So that means we cannot ignore the living entities who have come into our lives in the form of child, the form of father-in-law, mother-in-law, the form of my husband and all. We have to serve them nicely, immaculately, without expecting any results, and then offer those work to Krishna, then automatically you are relieved from any bondage. And that means you are already Krishna conscious. So it is not easy, but slowly you can try. So it is not, it is a gradual process, and ultimately you will achieve it. So no need to worry, but you should serve your husband as if 100% immaculately. You should serve your father-in-law, mother-in-law 100%. And then whenever you have spare time, you are going to sleep for some time, and that time you can chant, or you can hear some Krishna Katha while cooking, while cutting vegetables. You can use that time to hear Krishna Katha and all, to hear some kirtans, that will purify your consciousness. Because Krishna is the best to purify. Because apapa vittam, sin cannot touch him at all. So it purifies our consciousness. But whatever you are doing, you do it wonderfully, Mataji. Don't neglect it, because if you neglect your material duties, that means we are callous. Callous people are not like Krishna. So we cannot be callous. We cannot be careless. Careless, both are same. We should not be callous in our duty towards our family. Because we have come in the family, we have taken this human form, and we have married, we got children, we cannot neglect. So we have to give them attention, we have to give them education, we have to feed them. These are all basic ingredients. That is also the thing. So child should not be ignored. I have to chant, so child let it shout, crying for milk. I will chant. That is not Krishna consciousness. This is animalistic consciousness. We have to be very careful that we cannot ignore our material duties. Material duties are given by Krishna, and it is our karma, and we cannot avoid it. And this karma is to be purified as akarma by offering Krishna. That's how we should. This is the art of dovetailing our work to Krishna. It's a very subtle subject, but you try, and Krishna is pleased by your endeavor. Krishna doesn't see that all the results you are offering Krishna will be done. That is not possible, because we are not in that level. But the more you try to offer it to Krishna, Krishna will be able. That's how you should try. You don't ignore your material duties. Because our Maharaj never recommended that, you just leave everything and go to the temple and work. No, that's for few people who are unfit for the material society. They can sit in the temple and do, but not for everybody. We are all in the family Kṛṣṇa, and we have got commitments, and we cannot avoid this. We should do our duties. We should take care. We should take care of our family. We should take care of our father and mother. We are not different from Krishna, because Daya Sarvabhuteshu. What is the purpose of learning Daya Sarvabhuteshu? If you cannot show mercy to your own father-in-law, mother-in-law, how you are going to show to other living entities? Correct? Then how you are going to satisfy Krishna? You see the logic, how it works? So think about it, this Mataji. Don't worry too much. You are doing wonderful service. Please try to remember Krishna in all your transaction, and try to hear the king. This is how we can develop. Okay, Mataji? Hope this helps. This helps, Mataji? May Mataji? Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Chinmay Mataji. Mataji, you can unmute. Chinmay Mataji has gone on. Oh, she has left. Okay. No problem. No problem.
Right.
She's in her in-laws house. So.
Okay, no problem. No problem. She has left. That's no
Okay.
problem. It happens. No. Because of some house commitments, she come and join. That itself is very good. We'll close now. Anybody else has any questions? Or we'll close. Who is this, Prabhu? Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, he is Dayal Prabhu. He is ex-army man and he is living in South India, Chennai.
Dayal Prabhu?
Yes.
Yeah, yes, Prabhu. Please tell me. Okay. South India, where are you staying, Prabhu? South India?
Chennai, Prabhu.
Chennai. Where are you staying in Chennai?
Kolattur, Prabhu.
Huh?
Kolattur.
Huh? What is the place?
Kolattur, Prabhu.
I'm not able to hear you. Your voice is not clear.
Kolattur, Prabhu.
What is it?
Kolattur.
Kolattur, huh? Okay.
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay. I am in Adayar. Okay. I am in Chennai only.
Oh,
Please tell me your
nice to hear about it, Prabhuji. The coinage of the term MSC, that mercy, satisfaction, and control.
Correct. Yes.
And that word satisfaction, when we use the word satisfaction itself means it is pleasing, pleasing our oneself. And basically it says pleasing the senses. So Bhagavan Krishna says that karmani sangam tyaktva, that is renunciation of what
Correct.
we do.
Correct.
When we
Correct.
say that satisfaction, when it starts pleasing our senses, then
No, but
slowly
you have to be very careful. Satisfaction doesn't mean pleasing the senses. Satisfaction means we are happy in our condition of life. Santushta yena kena va means we are happy in any condition of life. It's not pleasing the senses. Pleasing the senses is a different subject matter. That is sarvendriya upashantaya. That is control of the senses. Senses needs to be controlled. That's a different subject matter. This is a different subject matter. Indriya's control is different. Senses control is different. It is pleasing. Satisfaction means we are pleased with our present position. That means we are pleased in our mind that whatever Krishna has placed, we are happy.
that is the reason, Prabhuji, that my question centers around that word pleasing, Prabhuji, because moment we have that beach, the seed of pleasing, will it not grow in as the time passes? Because it may be pleasing for certain conditions for now that I'm happy with it. Tomorrow, when my pleasing conditions, maybe the circle of that pleasing, if it enlarges, and if I'm not satisfied with it, that then my pleasing condition is not satisfied. So
Prabhu,
that could.
Okay. Satisfaction also is a very good point. That means, suppose it doesn't mean satisfaction means, that means what does it mean? Means suppose you are a young person, you want to go for a better job. For example, my son was working in in Houston. Now he got a better job, better salary. He is moving to that place. That means we are going higher up in the office, just not for, but just for growing up in the organization. That doesn't mean that we don't have satisfaction. Satisfaction is means our condition, whether this position or that position is okay. We try and we get it, it's okay. If you don't get it, you don't get frustrated. Correct? Suppose I'm asking for something more, and if you don't get it, I am being satisfied with this position. That is a satisfaction. Satisfaction doesn't mean that you should not have any objectives in your life. You should not be career oriented, objective oriented. No, target oriented goal. These are all required because, to be frank with you, unless the continuous flow of Lakshmi is there in your bank account, unless we receive good money, we cannot maintain. Now, practically, we have to be very practical. Suppose I have the money in my bank, then only I'll be able to spend. You go to a flower vendor, you have to pay 150 rupees for just buying some roses and samandi. So it is so costly. Everything you go to a shop, very costly. You buy jeeraga, 50 rupees, 70 rupees. Small jeeraga packet, 50 rupees. So this is how it is a fact. We should have enough money and we should aspire to grow up in the organization. We have to grow up, but we should aspire and we should work for it. But if it comes, okay. If it doesn't come, we should not get upset. Somebody gets it and we don't get it. That means we are anchoring for it. Anchoring should not be there, but we should try. Doesn't mean that no, I should sit myself. Satisfaction means yeah, and then this is okay. Then the inflation goes up. Then you will not be able to meet your needs. You have to go on increasing your career, a salary increase. This should always aspire for. That should not be stopped, career. But that should not be at the cost of Krishna consciousness. Suppose I go to a job where I have to work. Instead of 10 hours, I have to work 18 hours. And therefore I lose the Krishna consciousness, then that is not a good one to go. So we should see how we can put that position. But ultimately, I'm telling you, continuous flow of Lakshmi is required. So that's why we have to upgrade ourselves. That means, it doesn't mean that no, I will be satisfied with my job. So in IT or CA, I'll be happy. I will not upgrade myself with the latest knowledge and techniques and latest programming and all. No, not like that. We should always go to upgrading. We should always be current. So change is the nature of the world. And therefore, we should be current so that we be able to meet the current requirements of the jobs. And therefore, it is fluctuating every day. It is changing from artificial intelligence to machine language. So many things are going on now. So business analyst, business analytics, data analytics, so many things are going on. So these are all required for us to survive in this world, because this is the order of the day. If you are not qualified, you will not be earning this much money. And if you don't have that money, you don't have a peaceful mind. If you don't have a peaceful mind, we cannot chant Krishna's name peacefully. If we cannot chant Krishna's name peacefully, then how we can satisfy Krishna? You see, that's the logic works. So that's why we have to strive ourselves. Academically, we should always engage ourselves, brush ourselves with the latest technology and knowledge. And that is very important. In fact, in my case, I didn't do it. I feel regret for that. But you don't do you people don't do it. Don't follow my example. I would say that you should always brush the latest knowledge and techniques. It's very important.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, on this aspect, one question from my side. Is it okay to invest in mutual fund, SIP, share markets and stocks? Recently, I came to know about some algorithm trading. So that algorithm will automatically invest on our behalf and we are just sitting. So this kind of thing, is it allowed, Prabhuji?
Actually, too much gambling we should avoid, because our objective is not to make crores and crores of rupees, and we should not get go into the gambling of this one. But mutual funds are very good, because we actually, a lot of devotees are engaged in the mutual funds. They are putting the money also, but we have to be very careful. We should not lose the money also. We have to be very careful. And yes, of course, it is good to because we have to have the flow of income, and algorithm is good. In fact, it is, if it is good, then we should try in this, because we require Lakshmi also requires. So we should not. But what we should do is, we should not be so much absorbed that we lose our Krishna consciousness. We have to have a balance. At any point of time, we have to strike a balance that we lose our Krishna consciousness and we get absorbed in the mutual funds. And 24 hours, people are absorbed in mutual funds to make money. They don't have any other consciousness. That is animalistic life. Because you have more money, you have pleasure and everything, but you will not get Krishna. If you don't get Krishna, we have to take another body. So again, you have to come, again, you have to invest in mutual funds. Again, so cessation will not happen. So unlimited cessation of miseries has to end. Ashesha Shankesha. So samam, it has to be terminated. And this termination will happen only with bhakti. So we have to balance between this mutual funds and all this. At the same time, we have to be very careful. Please be very careful and judicious in this. Too much, put some small amount of money, don't put big money, and thereby you get trapped and you lose all your valuable money. You have to be very careful also. Okay, because the mutual funds are subject to market risk. Because last year it has went down from 40,000, 48,000 to 30,000. So many people lost.
But I am satisfied with your answer, Prabhuji. It's okay to indulge in some balance and not to overindulge so that we lose our money. And
Yeah, we have to be very careful, because the flow of Lakshmi should be there. Yeah, but I'm not. Please don't take my blanket approval for gambling and all. Please don't take it as a blanket approval. I'm trying to become practical as much as possible.
Some mutual fund like Nifty 50 or something. It's easy.
Be careful in that, because I think these are all very sensitive topics, and I'm not realized enough to talk on this also. Maybe I'm immaturely I'm speaking and giving some results, please, sir. But try to avoid as much as possible. But whenever it's required, you invest, but little amount. Don't expose yourself to too much risk. That's what, and don't get absorbed. Magna Chitta, if you do, Abnivesha Chitta, there are two Chittas in the Bhagavad. Abnivesha then materially engrossed in the mutual funds. Magna Chitta means Prahlad absorbed in Krishna consciousness. So Yudhishthira Maharaj was fully absorbed in Krishna consciousness. So that's why it is very good. He was administrating very nicely. But if you are absorbed materially too much, then you will not come to Krishna. Then you lose taste of Krishna consciousness. Slowly you will lose taste for hearing, lose taste for association, lose taste for chanting. The moment you drop the chanting back, that is the end of your Krishna consciousness. Never allow that to happen at any time. Because this money will intoxicate, because its mind will always multiply. Oh, today I made 50,000, let me make tomorrow 20,000 more, 70,000 more. This is how
But
mind will work.
but
Be
Prabhuji,
careful.
if we tend to spend this money for Krishna consciousness, one more question on this aspect, Prabhuji.
Even the
Like,
name of Krishna conscious, we are not that pure. I will tell you an example. There is one devotee. Yeah, he's called Tirumangayalvar. Tirumangayalvar was an exalted devotee from South India. He's an Alvar. He's a devotee of Vishnu. So what he has done, he was one of the king of one of the place, and then he was a small king under a big king. So he used to pay taxes, whatever he collects and all. What has happened? His wife told, every time you are going for fighting, his wife has become a spiritual master. Her name is Kumuda. So what she said, why you are wasting your time, blood, every time the first night, on the nuptial night, she told, because she was Krishna conscious, she told, why you are wasting your time, blood, and so many people are killed, and you are butchering so many people as a Kshatriya. So it is not good. But why did you engage in Krishna's service? So that changed his consciousness one day, because he was attracted by the instruction, and then he became a devotee of Krishna, and he started building a temple for Krishna. And then what has happened? He employed all the resources of the kingdom instead of paying taxes, and then he was doing everything for the sake of Krishna. And afterwards, the money was not enough, so he started stealing. He was starting plundering people to build the temple. That was an exalted position, because he was a pure devotee, Mahabhagavata. So we cannot imitate him. That in the mutual funds I'll make money and I'll give it to Krishna and purify the source of income. No, please, we cannot go into. We have to be very careful. Our mind is tricky. We are material. We are body. We are not in the spiritual consciousness to do that. That's why we have to be very careful that our consciousness will be maybe polluted by material desires. So I will put this money, whatever money, extra money I'll get. Krishna, if you give me $20,000, 20,000 rupees for the month, I'll give 10,000 to you. That's why we should do. And then next month, 40,000, 20,000 to you, 20,000 to me. So like that, our craving increases, our satisfaction dissipates, and greed increases. Then loba increases. Then your life is finished. So that becomes unlimited. So we have to be very careful in this. Let us be very careful. Who is this Prabhu? Prabhu asked me question.
I'm Varun, Prabhuji, Varun.
Huh?
Varun Pant.
Varun. Okay. We have to
Prabhuji,
be very careful.
one more question on this aspect only. Like, we are like very miserly. We are not spending on temple. Even books, we think they are costly and all that. And if we are ordering pizza, although outside food is not allowed, but still we are sometimes ordering Pizza Hut pizza, and we spend like 1,000, 2,000 on that. But for temple activities, we are not spending. So we are such a miserly person.
Correct.
How to start on this aspect? We
Because
should.
this is because main thing is that that's why we have to think. How we have to think is, suppose I'm ordering a pizza once in a month. Okay, it is natural that you order the pizza, but consciousness is not good. That will pollute your consciousness. So that's why we should always make the pizza at home and try to eat it from home.
Prabhuji, we get very nice pizza here in ISKCON Dvārkā as well. So that is also good.
That is okay. That you start Dvārkā pizza, you can take it. There is no problem. That is Krishna Prasad. So there is no problem with that. But only thing is, we should not get pizza das. Go das. No, we become Indriya das. Just like that Mahapariva, he became a Palak das. He said, I became a Palak das. So you should not become pizza das. We become Krishna das. Correct? We have to become Krishna das. So we should not become Palak das. We should not become pizza das. We should not become what is that? Bundi das. We should not become Alva das. We should not become we should not become all these dasas. We have to become Krishna das. So that's why we have to control our senses. Try to eat Krishna prasadam as much as possible, and try to spend to Krishna. We should not be miserly. We should try. Prabhu, practically we have to see how much we can afford Krishna and all. No? We cannot be like Rupa Goswami, 25% Krishna consciousness. We cannot do. Maybe 5%, 10%.
Vichitra Krishna Prabhuji comes. He is giving 50% of his salary.
Who?
This is Vichitra Krishna Prabhuji. He also gives class like you.
Okay. That is exemplary, Prabhu. Really, Parakodi Tandavat pronouns to him. I'm not able to give like that. It's very difficult. Okay. That some people are have that tendencies. That is very good. That is extraordinary. But we can try. Everybody cannot imitate him. So we can give 5%. Some amount we have to give to Krishna, and we should not be miserly in buying the books. Books is for our own knowledge. No? To get this Bhagavatam knowledge, Bhagavad Gita knowledge, we have to be 5,000 is one-time investment in Bhagavatam. 6,000 rupees or 7,000 rupees. It's a one-time investment. It's not going to be a waste. It's an eternal investment. I purchased in 99 for 5,000 rupees. 2,000 rupees or 3,099. So it is still gold now because it's worth so much. And noted so many points on that. And that's why I'm going to speak to you in front of you. Because of the Bhagavatam I'm speaking. So these investments in Krishna consciousness never goes in vain because it is eternal and it's carried over from Janma to Janma. Because whatever we speak, it goes into another Janma, another Janma. This Mayil Mati Nipatyede. Intelligent engagement cannot be thwarted at any time. It will carry it over to the next Janma. Whereas your pizza and all this will stay here. All others, you are chanting, everything will go. Everything will go with you. Everything, nothing will go except Krishna. And Krishna's names, whatever classes we attend, nothing will go in vain. Nothing goes in vain. Because this goes and settles in the soul. So that's why you develop in the next stage, in the next life. Solpamasya dharmasya trayato madho bhaya. Krishna says, yogo brishto jayate. Na jayate. Na jayate means never you will lose. And Krishna says in the 7th, 6th, 8th canto also to Diti Mata, worship of me will never goes in vain. So Krishna worship will never goes in vain. That is Krishna's action because he will never leave you because he's treating you as a Paramatma. He sees you. Correct? Don't worry, bro. Krishna. Okay. Excellent questions. Wonderful questions. Very intricate and thought-provoking questions. Thank you for all these questions, bro. These questions are enlivening us so that we know how practically we have to apply. Okay. We try our best. And then we have to have the balance that are we Krishna conscious or conscious? Are we Krishna consciousness? Like that, we have to measure ourselves. We have to evaluate ourselves every day. And we have to see how we are pleasing Krishna. Pleasing Krishna is our Tushyati Ashu Janatana. That is the bottom line. Okay? Yudhishthira Maharaj satisfied, and that's why Krishna wanted to install him. Preeti Manaha. Krishna became satisfied with him. That's how we should try to satisfy Krishna. Whole objective is to satisfy. Whole Krishna conscious process is to satisfy Krishna. Some or other. And some or other, you include Krishna in your life. While cooking, chanting, everywhere you include Krishna, and that will purify. Eventually, we'll get purified. May not be 100%, but some purification is going on already. Is apabhavita. Sin cannot touch it. Now we are getting purified 100%. So that means Krishna is terminating so many births for us now. Oh, this Sajjan Priya, this Bhakti Pant, Gita Mataji, Prashant Yadav, Himani Prabhu, Rajat Prabhu, Rajneesh Mishra, Manish Mataji, all this termination of so many millions of births are getting reduced. Krishna is deleting. He's telling Yamaraj, delete this. Brahma, don't give these births to this. Krishna is telling. Krishna is directing Yamaraj. Please do this. Because his computer is perfectly working. He's telling termination. So they are supposed to be 100 million births, reduced to 50 million. Oh, they have attended one more test. Reduced to 50, 50. Reduced to 25. Like that, they are reducing the births. Krishna conscious is profound and deep, and it is eternal, Sanatana. Okay? We should stop here. It's already 9:45. Sorry, very sorry. Because
no,
so
it's
many people have to go
9:30. Your clock
Please
is
forgive
faster.
for the offenses for taking so much of time. If you have spoken something wrong, please forgive me. If you have spoken something which is not correct, maybe I have not realized. So please forgive me for that. So especially for the mutual funds, I have to be very careful. But I told that because of the funds we require, we put that, but we have to be very careful in that. Please be very careful. Hare Krishna. We'll stop here.
Hare Krishna. So we'll offer a Vaishnava Pranam and end the session. And thank you, Prabhuji, for your mercy. Vancha kalpatru.
One more question. 1 second, Prabhu. How to rectify the sins which you have already committed by showing no mercy to the people who have material desire? Mataji, very good. 1 second. I'll just. Sri Lata Vinit Kumar. Okay, Mataji. Don't worry about it. Now, the sins are getting aham tvam sarva papyebhyo. Krishna is removing. Because the more we surrender to Krishna, Krishna is removing the sins which we have committed by showing no mercy to the people. So that is getting deleted. Krishna is deleting the sins. So all the fructified sins, and prarabdha, what they call it, and agamana sins. There are three types of sins, sanchita karma, prarabdha karma, and kriyamana karma. All these three things are getting. Prarabdha may not go fully, but others will go. Krishna will remove everything. Because the moment we engage in devotional service, the sins will go away. The sins are going. Very good question. Varun also has the same questions. So don't worry. Krishna is removing the sins. Krishna is removing the sins means number of deaths is getting terminated. So whatever sins we have done before, it is getting terminated because we have come to Krishna consciousness. No? Krishna's nature, Apapabindam. Sin cannot touch him. So once we are touching, purifying Krishna, just like the sun, which evaporates and purifies, Krishna is purifying our consciousness. And therefore, while purifying the consciousness, Aham Tam Vidunoti Sukritam. He is removing all the sins also. Krishna does. Krishna is clearing the sins. He is taking jadu and jadu pocha kar rahe. हमारा sins को निकाल रहा है. कृष्णा झाड़ू पोछा कर रहा है हमके लिए. और हमको क्या करना है? कृष्णा का नाम जप कर. हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम and engage in the service. So हमारा काम उनका नाम जप करना. उनका काम हमारा sin को निकालना. So don't worry about it. Krishna's काम. Okay. Krishna will rectify the sins. Don't worry. And even if the sins were there, they will come in a minute quantity and go. And it will not affect too much. And Krishna's protection is very good. Actually, where I read somewhere, actually, the protection starts from the beginning of Krishna consciousness. You read purport, Mataji, Srilata Mataji, please read purport Bhagavatam 9.4.48. We can discuss it later. I don't have time now. Maybe we can discuss later. 9.4.48. I think we discussed somewhere before. 9.4.48. Okay. Thank you, Varun Prabhu. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you. Please forgive me for any offenses. If you have spoken something wrong, please ignore, especially regarding mutual funds and all. Be careful in those and try to become Krishna conscious as much as possible. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So we will offer Vaishnava Pranam and end the session. Vancha
Yes.
kalpatrubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam
Hare
pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namah. अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय. श्री श्री राधा कुंज बिहारी की जय. श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय. निताई गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल.
So
Hare Krishna.
you will be contacting me regularly, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji. Why not, Prabhuji?
You will be contacting. Okay, no problem. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Send out pranams to Shamcharan Prabhu and Anu Prabhu. Okay, thank you. Hare Krishna.